Hello everyone, it's Christy with greenlivingoffgrid.com, and today I am in the process of cleaning out my fish tanks for the winter and getting everything all set so they're all ready to go. As you can see, it's gotten pretty dirty over the summer. I only clean my filters once every 4 to 6 months because in the temperature I keep the water at about 50 degrees here in Colorado. My goldfish seem to do well with that, and they don't get terribly dirty every other month, so usually I clean them once every 4 to 6 months. I've already done a couple, some cleaning on it. I haven't gotten it all the way done. I still have some algae on the side. You can see the filters are still pretty dirty, but I do clean the filters outside the tank because when I try to clean them in the tank, and it's been a few months like that, it gets the water pretty murky quickly, and then it's very hard to see the fish to be able to get them out of the tank and clean the tank out. When I'm cleaning a filter out, I'll typically take the line off first, squeeze it out real good in the bucket, and then I will take the end of my garden hose and I'll stick it into the hole. You can kind of see it right there. I'll stick it into the hole and I'll just squirt it out, and that will typically knock out most of the dirt. And then squeeze it some more, and then another thing you can do is connect an airline. I have a video about how I've done that. When I don't have a very dirty filter and I'm doing a quick cleaning, you can just stick it in the bucket with the airline connected in that. Even just having the airline will help blow out some of the dirt. So now that I've cleaned the filters, I am ready to clean the pump. I have disconnected it from the quick connect fitting on here, and one thing I do to kind of keep everything all tied together, I do have a little clamp that I connect my hose to, but I disconnected it right here, and then I also have another little clamp that I connect my electrical to. So it makes it real easy. All I have to do is unplug this right here and unsnap. You can see how I have it connected. I just unsnap it from here, and then my whole unit can come out. And I'm going to clean that sucker next. So you can see I've taken the pump apart and cleaned out the sponge and cleaned the bag as best I could. Probably have to replace that sometime soon. It's getting kind of dirty, but pretty much scrubbed that out. So it's clean enough for now. I've cleaned my rock and my little plant items, and just squeezed out this sponge. This cleans up pretty easily. You just squeeze it out and rinse it, and then I'll put my little pump cap back on, and I'll be ready to go right back into the tank after I clean out the tank. So the next step is removing the fish and sumping the water out. What I use to sump my tank out is a little sump pump here. 1/4 horsepower will do well. It's a submersible pump, and this utility pump will actually pump within a 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch to the bottom of the tank. So I'll remove the fish, put them in my little 5-gallon bucket, and then I'm able to sump all the water out, and as I'm sumping it out, I'm scrubbing all the algae out from the bottom of the tank. Another thing you have to watch is water temperatures. The well water comes out at about 50 degrees, and these tanks, since I keep them about 50 degrees, it's not too much of a temperature shock to move them into the bucket. But over time, my buckets will heat up. And as they heat up, then you have to bring them back into the tank. You don't want to have a temperature shock issue with 50-degree water in the tank and then the bucket's heated up over that time. So what I will typically do is I'll let them stay in the tank while I'm cleaning all the other items and cleaning the pump and everything else. And then when I have everything all clean and ready to go, then I will take the fish out, and that way they're not out in the bucket with the water heating up too long, and that'll make it easy to bring them back in. So here we go. So here I have my bucket filled with some fresh water, approximately the same temperature as what's in the tank. The tank's running around 54, 55. I don't worry about anything that's 3, even up to 5-degree difference isn't too bad on the goldfish. They do pretty well. But you don't want to do something that's like 60 degrees and your tank is 50 degrees. That's not so good. It's a bit of a shock on the fish. So just make sure your temps are pretty close, and then you're ready to collect the fish. Alright, now what you see here, I have my cup right here, And I'm going to use my net right here to scare the fish, if you will. Bring them over to where I have the cup. Well, here's one of my fish that I got into the net, and as you can see I have the cup right there, and all I usually do is just kind of use my hand to kind of coax him in to the cup, or sometimes he'll just go and swim right in. He's being a really good guy. Well, here's one of my goldfish. I just moved him right into the cup without having to net him. So again, I'm trying to make for less damage to the fins. And then when I bring them into my bucket, watch what I'll do. So that again, there's some fresh water, and as I bring the bucket, the cup down, sometimes he'll swim out. Let's see if he'll do that for you. He's a little scared right now. Come on, little guy, you gotta get out. If not, I'll just scoop him out like this. There he goes. Sometimes they'll just swim right out, and you'll get less debris if you can get him to swim out, but he didn't want to do that, so I had to kind of coax him in by turning the cup upside down. But as you can see, it's a nice simple way to transfer the fish without having damage to the fins from netting. Well, there we are. Fish are back in the tank. Everything's all put back together, and they seem to be happy. I used the same cup method to get them back into the tank as I did when I pulled them out of the tank, and again, it does help to diminish any potential effects on the fins. As you can see, they look like they handled the transfer just fine. I also want to point out a couple things that I have designed here to make it easy for winterizing. In addition to the fact that I use the in-tank filtration method with the sponge filters, I do not have charcoal. I do not have a filter outside of the tank. I just simply do a lot of water changes, especially in the winter when I don't have grow beds. But even in the summer, I find if I change the water every week, the fish tolerate just the changes in the system much better. I use quick connect fittings on my pump, as I pointed out before, and I also have a quick connect fitting up here on the line that goes up to my grow beds. I have a tomato grow bed up above that I use hydroponics on, and so I have this line that you can see right here that comes up from the fish tank, and so I can pump my fish water right into my hydroponic grow beds and cut down on the amount of nutrients I need to put in to supplement my tomatoes. So what I do whenever I change the water on my fish tank, I just disconnect right here the quick connect fitting from my hose, and I'm able to pump the tank out. Normally I only pump it to about 2-3 inches from the bottom, and it gives the fish a chance to stay in the tank when I do my 80 to 90% water changes. And then all I have to do when I need to winterize, of course every night or every day after I finish pumping or doing a water change, I always drain this hose when there's a potential chance of freezing. And because I can take the hose off both ends, both off the pump and off the line, I'm able to easily drain that hose out. And so I'm able to run this system all winter long. With the grow beds, as you can see, they've been drained out, and I just have my tarps over the top. I've disconnected all of my hoses from the bottom of the tank. I have my insulation pillows. These pillows I have covered with plastic, and I just use bungee cables and ties to insulate these tanks, and I find that they retain their heat twice as long when I have the tanks insulated with these pillows. And of course the hoses that I had connected at the bottom that used to connect up to my sump tank have all been disconnected, and everything's been blown out. So we're pretty much ready for the winter with the way that I have cleaned everything out and have it set up. Now, one thing I do add in the winter time especially, but I also add it also in the summer, is prime. I do add that every other day, just to make sure that if any balance, any ammonia gets building up in the tank, or because I don't have any grow beds, the nitrates can definitely get building up. So I just add prime every other day to make sure that the system stays stable. Something you got to watch out for after you clean a tank is floating filters. because I washed it out so good. I got a lot of air in there, and sometimes what they'll do about an hour after I put them in the tank, it doesn't always show up right away. You need to check and make sure your filter didn't start floating, because it's not going to do any good for your fish to not have any air because your filter is floating. I went back to this clean tank that I did about an hour ago, and you can see I have several floating filters. There's another one back there, and there's another one right here, and I had that one there in the back that is working. You can see the bubbles coming up. That one I just reseated. So what I do is I just squeeze it to get more water in here. Just try to get that air out. Squeezed it, and then I can reset it back down into the tank, and hopefully it's not going to bob back up. But I will be checking these periodically over the next couple hours and make sure they don't just float right back up like that one just did. So I've got to get all the air out of that thing and get it to reseat back down into the tank. And so here we are. We're all set up for the winter. Thanks again for watching. As always, you can check us out at greenlivingoffgrid.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe.